All right, this is part two of I was 16, he was 23, how I met my husband. So, again, we exchanged numbers. I went back to my grandma's house. That was that. Um, so I don't remember everything that was said on our initial conversations, but I do remember key things that were said. So I don't know what was going on with my phone at the time. Either it was cut off because who had money to pay? I didn't. Um, or it was out of minutes because back then I had a Nokia, or is it Nokia or Nokia? Nokia. Free after 9, free after 7, whatever the stipulations were. So he ended up having to reach me on the house phone at my grandma's house. And I remember him calling, and one of my uncles answered the phone. My uncles are 8 years older than me and 13 years older than me. So the one that's 13 years older than me, he answered the phone, and I could kind of feel his energy was thinking like, who is this dude calling my little niece? But because he was kind of looking crazy when he handed me the phone, but he let me get the phone. And I remember I was in the basement because my room was in, I told y'all the room was in the finished basement. I was sitting on the little chair down there. And, my ex was very charming, cool, and had a lot of charisma, and he knew how to, have a conversation. So I'm 16, I'm green. I hadn't really even been talking to a lot of dudes on the phone or anything like that. So I'm really eating up everything that he's saying. Um, we were talking about just kind of small talking, but I remember him specifically saying,
When you turn 18, I'm going to marry you.
I remember him saying that. Um, and at the time, Webby was my favorite rapper, and he loved UGK. I do too, but he really loved UGK. And I remember just sitting there, talking, listening. Of course, he just told me that when I turn 18, he gonna marry me. So I'm all smitten by this conversation. And then, he's cool, so he just started flowing.
She 5'7", 139 pounds, 36, 24, 38. Pretty fine, brown, bad little bride. I ain't seen her in a minute since the All-Star game, and I'm still trying to hit it. Got a baby by this that I used to serve. He caught a Fed case and he ain't leave her no chains. She sold all his jewels. She sold all his cars. Now she dancing in the Shaker Club, stripping for the stars.
So I'm just eating it all up, thinking he cool or whatever. And I do remember it was either in that conversation or I believe it was that same conversation. He planted a little seed. He said something like,
I think you would make a good dancer, like an exotic dancer. And
I'm thinking like,
No, I wouldn't. That's not my thing. Like, what are you talking about?
so I kind of just skirted past that conversation, but the seed was planted. So again, we were just talking about basic things over the course of these first couple of months, just getting to know each other. And again, we met at the end of my junior year. So y'all know we always talk about how back in the day it was teenage girls getting picked up by grown men at the high school, and I wouldn't say it was normalized, but it was happening. So, yes, I was one of those girls. He wasn't picking me up all the time, but there were a couple times that he did pick me up. Now, I know a lot of people keep asking where were my parents and all of that. Again, I was staying with my grandma for reasons I'm not going to get into right now. But I do remember sitting on the bed one night talking to my mom, and I was like, 23 is too old for me, huh? And she was like, yeah. And I didn't elaborate on anything else. I made it seem like I was just asking a hypothetical question. Um, so I hid a lot, and I wasn't a fast, promiscuous girl. I was actually the opposite. I was really green and naive and pretty sheltered because my dad was very strict disciplinarian. So a lot of things I was sheltered from. So a lot of times people think if they shelter their kids and protect them and restrict them for doing certain things that they're going to be um, exempt from being exposed to certain things. But sometimes, you know, young girls start running towards the things that they're not supposed to run towards because they've been so sheltered. And then because me and my dad weren't getting along, I did kind of have a void of, that love and that feeling of love. I know my dad loves me, but just that feeling of love and attention from masculine energy. So that left me a little bit vulnerable to this interaction that I had with him. So again, sometimes, there were a couple times he came and picked me up from the school with his homeboy. Um, I'd be riding around with them as they went and did who knows what. There were two different cars that he used to pick me up in. I'll explain later whose cars those were. Um, Again, during these initial conversations, he told me that he had roommates. So he never talked about specifically where he lived, but he just said that he had roommates where he lived. Um, I would be, there were times like after school, I would ride around with him as he ran his errands and did little things, met up with homeboys and all of these things. I'm just being a passenger princess or being in the back seat while him and his homeboy was in the front. So there were a few things that I was exposed to that didn't even know that I was exposed to, like certain things that was going on at the time. So um, that summer came and things started changing.